When I was told I was getting a Niro today, I might have got the wrong idea, but in many ways they're very similar. This is a fusion of espresso and steam milk, and this is a fusion of combustion and electric engine. But will the hybrid system in this new Kia leave us with a bitter taste, or is it delicious? This is Kia's first attempt at a purpose-built hybrid car. They've had a hybrid before, but it wasn't purpose-built and it wasn't available in the UK, so this is a first for both. It's built alongside Hyundai's Ionic. They're part of the same company, Kia and Hyundai, so there's a lot of common components there. And we've already driven the Ionic and know that that's an excellent car, so it's a good place to start. This comes in 4 trim levels, 1, 2, 3, and this first edition, which is top of the range. The first is available from, or the 1 edition is available from £21,300, which seems pretty reasonable. But this version, which to be fair is packed full of kit, is £27,000. I think Kia have been quite clever about the positioning of this car. It's not a direct rival for the Hyundai Ionic, it's a different body shape. So you can either go for the hatchback Ionic or this crossover SUV looking vehicle. So at the moment there's just one powertrain available on the Ionic, and it's this one. It's got a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine with an electric motor and a 1.56 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. Now that all combines to produce 139 brake horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Now impressively, the CO2 figures are super low on this. So with trim levels 1 and 2, it's 88 grams per kilometre of CO2. But once you move up to the higher spec models of the 3 and this first edition, that increases to 101 grams per kilometre of CO2, which still isn't bad. I never get tired in hybrid and electric cars of that milk float mode as you pull away. Now what is super impressive with this car is the transition then to when the combustion engine kicks back in. You cannot tell. You listen, there is a change in note, you can hear the engine come in, but really you're trying to listen, you're trying to catch it out. It's just so seamless, it's very, very impressive. This thing's got a 6-speed automatic gearbox, which is okay. It's quite smooth when just pottering along. If you want to then suddenly make progress, you sink the pedal. There is a huge time delay between anything happening, and whereas it will kick down 1 gear eventually, actually probably needs to kick down 2 because it's running in such high gears for economy. It's not that quick to respond. However, use the sport manual override and put it into the gear you want, and it suddenly goes. It's really impressive. And that 139 brake horsepower feels a lot more. It's the torque, nearly 200 feet-pound of torque, really suddenly come to life, especially in 2nd and 3rd gear. That's where you notice it the most. This is a high-sided tall car. So you will expect a little bit of body roll through the bends, and there is a little bit of body roll through the bends, but it's not bad actually. You have a little bit of a shift, but it corners really well. It's pretty flat, pretty stable. You won't be disappointed with the ride. It's very, very comfortable. I wouldn't say it's softly sprung, because it still managed to handle well. It stays pretty flat, and through the bigger bumps you do get a thud, but it's a quality setup. It's something that you'd expect from BMW and Mercedes, and Kia have really pulled that off to great acclaim. I think it's fantastic. The damping is something else though. You get any vertical movement and the damping system just settles it straight back down. It's not too quick, it's not too slow. You don't get it feeling wallowy and bouncy from that. It's just very, very well designed. It's an excellent system. And the steering feel overall is pretty light. So again, it just adds to that easy feeling of driving. Where the Niro does let itself down though is front end grip. Even on just mildly damp roads, almost just a sprinkling of moisture, this thing understeers unbelievably. Front end very quickly runs out of grip and traction on the road, and you just slide forward. Now, that's quite easily controlled. Just back off the accelerator and everything comes back to you. But it happens too often for you to have confidence to push on. If you do continue to push on, the weight shift from the back will then want to turn into oversteer. So there are quite small margins there that you've got to be careful with. However, saying that, just don't drive like that. Enjoy this. It's a very, very comfortable, very refined, easy car to drive. That's actually a pleasure, and you get to journeys so relaxed. This car is absolutely packed with technology. I've got city brake assist that will bring the car to a halt if it feels we're going to have an accident. I've got rear parking sensors. There's cross assist at the back, so if the car detects a vehicle is going to drive behind you as you're reversing, again it will alert you to it. There's lane departure warning, there's blind spot monitoring, and then from autonomous driving side, I've got adaptive cruise control, which pretty much brings you to a stop in traffic on the motorway, which is really impressive. And there's also adaptive steering, so I can set the steering up whilst we're on the motorway and it will keep me in the lane quite well, and it's probably one of the best systems I've tried. It positions the car very, very centrally within your lane. It will take corners. There's no constant input and jerky input. It's very consistent. I like the interior in here. It's got quite a nice stylish instrument panel, and the buttons here are very simple and easy to use. They're in good reach, but the white plastic, this Apple iPod type plastic, I think is really cool and sets the interior apart a little bit. Fit and finish in here feels pretty good. Top of the dash is soft touch plastics, as is the door. I've got leather on my armrest and on my central armrest, and then it becomes firmer plastics, but they don't look cheap, they don't look hard. You can't actually visually tell the difference between those softer touch ones and the hard touch plastics, which creates a much higher quality feel to the interior of this car. It's very easy to get comfortable in here. I've got a steering wheel that adjusts well for tilt and for reach, so I can bring that towards me or up and down. The seat is very comfortable and supportive and offers loads of adjustment. I've got tilt, lumbar support, and lots of height adjustments, so I'm in the lowest setting here, but I could go a lot higher. In the back though, there's loads of space. Headroom's brilliant, knee room's very good, and there's lots of leg room. And the seats are supportive and comfortable as well, so again, I'd have no qualms of being a passenger in the rear on a long journey. To fit 3 in though, there's a low transmission tunnel which really helps with the third person's feet, and there's lots of headroom still, which is really good. For accessing the boot, there's quite a low boot release button on the bottom of the door hatch, which just feel quite low that you're getting down to it, but that opens to a nice big opening, so it's easy to use. The floor's pretty flat with the lip, and it's reasonably well sized. It's not completely square, but it's okay. There's storage under the boot floor, 2 levels, storage compartments, and then the tyre inflator. But that does take away some of the depth to the boot, so it feels quite shallow for this size of car. So, final thoughts on the Kia Niro. Well, it's easy to drive, it's comfortable, it's practical, and it's well priced. Yes, it's got some understeer and the engine's got to be worked really hard to get the best out of it, but it's a very, very likeable car and it feels well made and high quality. If you've enjoyed today's video, please remember to sign up for free to our subscription channel and check out the website for the latest news and reviews.